My wife trusted me with one simple task, and that's how I knew something was about to go wrong, because anytime someone says, it's simple, they're lying to your face with confidence, and I fall for it every time. She said, can you just stop by the store and grab milk? Just milk. That's it. Not milk and a few things. Not milk if it's on sale, just milk. And I nodded like a man who has done this before. I've got a long history of successful milk-based missions, even though my brain immediately went blank, like I'd just been asked to defuse a bomb. I'm walking to the car thinking, milk is easy, cows make it, people drink it. I've seen it my whole life. How hard could this be? That's when I realized I don't actually know where the milk lives in a store. I just know it exists somewhere behind doors, like a secret society. So I get to the store feeling confident for about 7 seconds until I walk in and see 30 aisles of things I do not need, all screaming for my attention, like, hey buddy, remember chips exist. Suddenly I'm holding a basket because I forgot why I came in, which is a bad sign. I tell myself, stay focused. You're a professional. You're a husband on a mission. I hit the dairy section and realized there are more milk options than I knew emotions existed. Whole milk, skim milk, 2% almond milk, oat milk, soy milk, lactose-free, organic, grass-fed, something called extra creamy, which feels like a threat. I'm standing there like I've been asked to pick a personality for the rest of my life. I don't know what we drink. I've been in this house for years. I've poured milk into cereal, but I've never looked at it. I just trusted it would be there like electricity. Now I'm texting my wife, but I don't want to look weak, so I don't say, I don't know what milk we use. I say, hey, quick question, which already tells her everything she needs to know about how this is going. She replies instantly, because she knows no. She says, just get the usual. The usual. That's not helpful. That's like telling someone lost in the woods, just go home. So I stare harder at the shelves like one of these cartons is going to wink at me and say, it's me, man. We've been through breakfast together. People are grabbing milk with confidence, like they trained for this. And I'm watching them thinking, how do you all know? Is there a class I missed? Did everyone else get a manual when they got married? I finally pick one that feels right. I don't know why. Had a friendly looking cow. The cow looked honest. I trust the cow. I get to the checkout feeling proud. I just conquered something. And then the cashier says, you know this is almond milk, right? And I say, like I chose it on purpose, like this was part of a bigger plan, even though my wife has never once in her life said, you know what I love? Almonds pretending to be milk. But it's too late now. I've committed. You can't go back once someone scans your failure. I get home, walking like a hero, set the bag down, and say, with that tone like I deserve a parade, and my wife looks inside the bag, pauses, and just stares at me, not angry, not yelling, just disappointed in a way that hits harder. She says, what is this? And I say, it's milk, because technically I am not wrong. And that's when I realize this is how arguments start, with technicalities. I start explaining like, well, we're a lot of options, and she says, I'd ask for one thing. And I say, I brought one thing, which again feels correct, but dangerous. Now I'm trying to fix it, because that's what we do. Mess up, then immediately believe we can save it with confidence. I say, I can just run back and exchange it, like the store is going to take back open almond dreams and give me real milk out of respect. She tells me don't worry about it. which is never true. And now I'm standing in the kitchen holding this carton, wondering how a grown man with a driver's license and a mortgage can be defeated by milk. That's when she looks at me and says, "Since you're here, can you also help me with one more small thing?" And my heart drops because I know how this story goes. I'm already thinking, how bad can the next simple task really be? Because it can't possibly get worse than this. My wife said it like she was asking me to breathe, just real casual. Like this was something any functioning human could handle without supervision. She goes, "Can you stop by the store and grab some milk?" And then she added, "That's it." Which is when I knew this wasn't really about milk. This was a test of character. Because anytime someone says, "That's it," they're daring you to mess it up. I nodded like a man who's done hard things before. Like I've climbed mountains. Like I didn't once get lost in a parking lot for 20 minutes because all the cars looked the same. I said, "Yeah, got it," with that tone that sounds responsible, but mostly just ends conversations. In my head, I'm already building myself up, thinking this is good, this is growth, this is me being the kind of husband people talk about at dinner, like her husband actually helps. I'm walking to the door, telling myself it's one item, one stop, in and out. You could do this in your sleep, even though I wouldn't trust myself to do anything in my sleep except mess up. But that's how confident I felt. I had that dangerous kind of confidence, the kind that shows up right before everything falls apart. Like in movies, when the guy says, "Nothing can go wrong," immediately something explodes. By the time I'm in the car, I've turned this into a personal challenge. I'm gripping the steering wheel like I'm on my way to diffuse something important, telling myself, don't overthink it. It's just milk. You've seen milk your whole life. You were raised on it. You know what it looks like. It's white, it's cold, it comes in a container. How many versions of that could there possibly be? And right there, without even knowing it, I've already made my first mistake, because the moment you say how many versions could there be, the universe hears that and starts stocking shelves. I'm replaying her words in my head, just milk, like it's a simple code I have to follow perfectly. Not fancy milk, not experimental milk. That's trying to prove something about itself, just regular, honest milk. And I tell myself, you're not going to be that guy who comes back with questions. You're not going to text from the aisle like a lost tourist. You're going to walk in, grab the milk, and walk out like you belong there. This is your moment to blend in with society. I even start imagining how it's going to feel when I come back. I picture myself setting the bag on the counter, giving a little nod, maybe not saying anything, just letting the action speak, like, see, I handled it, I'm reliable. I'm already enjoying the credit before I've done the work, which is a risky lifestyle choice. Maybe she'll smile, maybe she'll say thanks in that tone. That means I've moved up a level as a husband. That feeling alone is enough to make me feel like I'm already winning. So I pull into the parking lot feeling good, feeling prepared, feeling like this is finally one of those stories where I do the normal thing and nothing weird happens. I grab a basket, even though I don't need one, because it makes me feel official, like a guy with a plan. Take a deep breath before I walk in, telling myself, remember, one item, one job, no distractions, no wandering, no confidence that's not backed by skill. Just go in there and prove that when someone trusts you with something simple, you can actually be the kind of person who deserves that trust. At least for the first 5 minutes, I walk into that store like I'm somebody who's done this before. Like there should know me there. Like there's a little plaque by the door that says this man buys milk correctly. My shoulders are back, my pace is confident, and I've got that look on my face that says, don't worry, I'm a professional at basic life. Inside though, I'm just repeating, act normal, because nothing gives you away faster than trying to look like you belong somewhere you absolutely do not. I grab a basket even though I only need one thing, because in my mind, baskets are for people who know what they're doing. If I hold one, maybe the confidence will transfer through the handle into my body. I start walking the aisles, pretending I know where I'm going, even though I don't. I won't stop and look at the signs, because that feels like admitting weakness. I just keep moving, nodding at random shelves like, not today, cereal, I'm on a mission. Every few steps I almost turn around because I realize I don't even know what direction milk would be in. But I keep going anyway, trusting that confidence is basically a GPS if you believe in it hard enough. In my head, I'm talking to myself like a coach who has never seen me play. You got this, man, you're an adult, you pay bills, you've assembled furniture with only minor emotional damage. This is nothing. I'm building myself up based on accomplishments that have nothing to do with finding milk. But when you're desperate, any win counts. I'm telling myself, you're not one of those guys who needs to call his wife from the store. You're independent, you're capable, you're smart. You're not going to be that voice, the background of her day asking questions you should already know the answers to. Then I see other people shopping, and that's when it really hits me how alone I am in this. They're moving with purpose, grabbing items without hesitation, like they trained for this at a young age. A woman reaches for a carton, checks the date, puts it in her cart, and keeps going. And I'm watching her like I just witnessed a magic trick. I'm thinking, how did she know? Did she learn? Who taught her? Because nobody ever sat me down and said, son, this is how you choose dairy. But I still keep my head up because outwardly, I am calm, collected, a man who absolutely belongs in this building. I finally spot the dairy section and I slow down, but not too much because slowing down looks like uncertainty. I want to glide in. Like this is where I was headed the whole time. I stop in front of the wall of milk and immediately realize I have no idea what I'm looking at, but I don't let that show. I cross my arms, tilt my head, and squint a little, like I'm comparing options based on knowledge instead of panic. Anyone watching would think I'm carefully selecting the best product. In reality, my brain is just making elevator music while I try not to pass out. I pick up one carton, put it back, pick up another, put it back, very casually, like I'm refining a choice I already understand. I don't want to stand there too long, because then it becomes obvious I'm lost. So I decide this is where confidence has to carry me. I grab a carton that feels right in my hand, not because I know it's right, smart, but because my arm made a decision before my brain could stop it. I look at it and think, yeah, this looks like something a responsible person would buy, and that's good enough for me. As I walk away, I feel proud. I just made a big adult decision, like I should get points for not asking for help. I'm telling myself, see, you didn't need anyone, you handled it, you trusted your instincts, and that's what real grown-ups do. I'm already rehearsing how casual I'm going to be about it later, like, yeah, milk, no big deal, grabbed it on the way home. The whole time, I have no idea that my confidence isn't leading me to success. It's just leading me faster in whatever direction I happen to pick. I stop in front of that wall of milk, and suddenly it feels like I've wandered into a very quiet library where every book is judging me. There are so many cartons lined up, all different colors and promises, and I'm standing there thinking, how do we get here as a society? When did milk need this many opinions about itself? I thought milk was just milk. Turns out, milk has goals. Milk has a brand. Milk wants you to know about the life it's lived before it got to this shelf. I am not prepared to interview it. At first, I try to keep it simple in my head. I tell myself, you're overthinking it, just pick the normal one. But then I realize, I don't know what normal means anymore. Is normal whole? Is it 2%? Whatever is in the middle so nobody gets mad. I see words like organic and grass-fed. I start imagining cows with better healthcare than me. There's lactose-free, which sounds responsible, but also like it's judging people who can handle regular milk. Then there's almond milk, oat milk, soy milk. Now I'm thinking we've just decided anything can be milk if you believe in it enough. I start leaning in closer, labels like I'm studying for a test I didn't know about. I don't even know what half these words mean. They're smart, but I'm nodding like, yeah, that seems important, because that's what you do when you want to look smart. I'm trying to remember what we have at home, replaying mornings in my head like a detective, picturing our fridge. Our cereal bowls, but all I can see is me pouring something white and then immediately forgetting about it. That's my entire memory of milk. It exists for about 10 seconds in my life, and then it's gone. While I'm standing there frozen, more people show up. They slide in next to me, grab exactly what they want, and leave like this is the easiest decision they'll make all day. One guy reaches past me, takes a carton, and doesn't even look at it. He didn't read anything. He didn't hesitate. He trusted his hand. That's confidence. That's a man who knows who he is. I feel like asking him, hey, what do you know that I don't? But instead I just shift a little so he can pass, like, yeah, no problem. I was just, enjoying the view. Now my brain starts turning this into a bigger moment than it needs to be. I'm thinking, if I choose wrong, this isn't just about milk anymore. This says something about me. This says I don't pay attention. This says I don't listen. This says I've been drinking the same thing for years and still couldn't tell you its name in a lineup. That feels like a lot of pressure for something that comes in a plastic jug. I'm sweating a little. I pretend it's just because the dairy section is cold, which it is, but that's not helping. So I decide to use logic, which is dangerous when you don't have any information. I tell myself, okay, what would a responsible adult do? A responsible adult would probably choose something in the middle. Not the fanciest, not the weirdest, just right there in the safe zone where nobody has strong feelings. I start scanning for a carton that looks friendly, not too flashy, not too boring, just quietly confident. I spot one with a simple label and a calm color, and I think, this one isn't trying too hard, and that feels like me. I reach out, grab it, and immediately feel like I've made progress, like action itself deserves credit. I hold it for a second, looking at it like, you and me, we're in this together now. I don't even fully read what it is, because at this point, knowing might make me doubt myself again, and I can't afford that. Tuck it into my basket and start walking away before my brain has time to reopen the debate. As I move down the aisle, I feel a weird mix of relief and pride, like I've just survived something important, even though all I did was pick a carton off a shelf. I'm telling myself, see, You handled it. You didn't panic. You made a choice. That's what matters. And deep down, there's this tiny voice saying, you have no idea what you just grabbed. But I ignore it because confidence sounds much better when you're trying to convince yourself everything is under control. As I'm walking with that basket, trying to look like I just made the easiest decision of my life, I start noticing everyone else around me. And that's when it really hits me that I might be the only person in this building who doesn't know what's going on. People aren't wandering. They're not circling. They're moving with purpose, like the store is a map they memorized years ago. A guy passes me pushing a cart like he's late for something important, grabbing items off shelves without even slowing down. I'm thinking, how do you know that's what you need without stopping to question your whole existence? I see a woman with a list in her hand, checking things off like she's completing a mission, and she looks calm, like this is just another normal part of her day. Meanwhile, I'm over here holding one item and acting like I just negotiated a peace treaty. She doesn't even look up when she reaches for something. Her hand goes straight to the exact product, like it's been there waiting for her. That kind of confidence doesn't come from reading labels. That comes from living a life where you pay attention, and I start realizing I might be living a little too much in my head. Then there's the couples shopping together, and that's a whole different level. Communicating in a language I don't understand. One says, do we need this? And the other says, well, already have it, without checking anything, like they have a shared brain somewhere at home. They're not even arguing. They're just calmly navigating decisions. I would need at least 2 phone calls and a moment alone to process. I watch them turn down an aisle together, synchronized, and I feel like I just saw a nature documentary about competent adults. Every time someone passes me, I get this urge to hide my basket a little, like they might see what's inside and know I don't belong. I start wondering if there's some kind of test at the door I missed, where you prove you understand groceries before they let you in. Because everyone else looks like they earned the right to be here. The kids look more confident than me. A little kid reaches into a cart and grabs something, and the parent goes, no, put that back. And the kid does, like they understand consequences. I didn't even know consequences were part of this trip. The employees, they're the worst because they really know what's going on. They walk around like this place is their living room, rearranging shelves, answering questions, pointing people in directions without hesitation. One of them asks me if I need help, and I almost panic because if I say yes, I have to admit I don't know where milk is, even though it's literally behind me, or worse, that I already have milk and still don't know if it's right. So I smile and say, no, I'm good. Like a man who definitely knows what he's doing, then I immediately turn the wrong way and pretend I meant to go there. Now I'm comparing myself to everyone. It's not going well. I'm thinking these people probably get home and actually use what they bought for the right meals. They probably follow recipes. They probably know what day trash goes out without checking their phone. And here I am, feeling proud because I managed not to drop anything. It's like I'm playing the same game as them, but on a much easier setting, and I'm still barely keeping up. I start telling myself stories to feel better. I say, maybe they're just better at showing it. They're just as confused as me on the inside, but they hide it better. That has to be it. There's no way everyone else has this figured out. So I straighten up a little more, push my shoulders back, and try to match their energy. Like if I walk like them, maybe I'll become them. I even speed up my pace, weaving around carts. I've got somewhere important to be, even though I'm really just heading toward the checkout because I don't trust myself to make another decision. By the time I'm near the front, I feel like I've passed some invisible test just by surviving the crowd. I deserve a badge that says, "Made it through without asking for directions." I glance down at my basket, see that carton sitting there, and then I tell myself, "Look at you blending in, just another person doing normal life stuff. No one knows you were one wrong turn away from standing in the freezer aisle questioning everything." And for a moment, I almost believe it, almost feel like I'm part of this confident group of people who know exactly what they're doing. Even though deep down I know, I'm just hoping nobody notices. I've been learning how to be normal by watching strangers in a grocery store. By the time I get home, I'm already rehearsing how this is going to go, because in my mind, this is my moment. I walk in carrying that bag like it's proof of something, like I didn't just buy milk. I achieved milk. I don't rush. I don't announce it right away. I set the keys down first, take my shoes off like a calm, dependable man. Then I place the bag on the counter with just enough care to say, "Mission complete." I look at my wife and say, "Got it. I think I got it. Not here's what I brought, just got it." Because confidence deserves short sentences. She walks over, opens the bag. There's this tiny pause that feels way longer than it should. She doesn't say anything at first. She just looks at the carton, then looks at me. And in that look, I can see every emotion go by: surprise, confusion, disappointment, acceptance, like she just watched the weather change. Finally, she says, "What is this?" And I immediately go into defense mode. They're smart, because that's my natural setting. I say, "It's milk," like I'm explaining something obvious to a child. Though I'm the one who's confused, she picks it up, reads the label, and says, "This is almond milk." And I say, "Yeah, like that was always the plan. Like I didn't just choose it because the cow on the carton looked friendly." Because that's not information she needs. I try to sound casual. I say, "I figured we could try something different," which is a wild thing to say when no one asked for change. I'm acting like I made a bold, creative decision for the family, when really I just panicked in front of a shelf. She looks at me and says, "I just wanted regular milk." Not mad, not yelling, just stating a fact, and somehow that's worse, because now I don't have anything to push against. I can't argue with calm. So I start explaining, because that's what you do when you don't have a good reason. I say, "There were a lot of choices," like that should mean something. Like she's gonna say, "Oh, well, in that case, of course you grabbed the wrong one, that makes sense." I tell her about all the options, how complicated it was, how anyone could have made that mistake, and she just listens, nodding slowly, like she's watching someone dig a deeper hole and wants to see how far it goes. Then she says, "Why didn't you just call me?" And I don't have a good answer for that, because the real answer is pride. That sounds stupid out loud. So instead I say, "I thought I had it," which is true, but not helpful. And she says, "Next time, just ask," in that tone that's kind, but also final, like a teacher explaining something for the third time. I nod, because what else can you do? You can't argue with "next time" when you already lost this time. I try to save it. I say, "I can go back and exchange it." Like that's a normal thing people do with open groceries. Like the store is gonna applaud my honesty and hand me a fresh jug of real milk. She says, "Don't worry about it, we'll use it." And that's when I know it's officially my fault forever, because now every time she pours that almond milk, she's going to remember why it's there. We stand there for a second, just looking at the carton on the counter, like it's a tiny monument to my effort. I want credit for trying. I want her to say, "At least you went, at least you didn't forget, at least you cared." But relationships don't run on participation trophies. Run on getting the right milk. And I can feel the moment slipping away. That moment where I could have been the hero of a very boring story. Instead, I'm the guy who turned a simple favor into a conversation. Then she looks at me and says, "Since you're home, can you help me with one more quick thing?" And she says it the same way she said the first task, light, casual, nothing could possibly go wrong. And my heart drops a little because I recognize that tone now. I know what it means. It means we are at the start of something again, something that sounds easy, something I'm about to say yes to, even though every part of me knows how this usually ends, and I still find myself nodding, saying, "Sure," like I haven't learned a single thing from the milk sitting right in front of us. She asked me to do another small thing. Like it's nothing, like I'm supposed to just spring into action like a grown-up superhero. And I can feel my stomach doing that nervous flip you only get when you know trouble is polite enough to announce itself first. I nod because apparently admitting I've already failed once disqualifies me from saying no. I follow her into the next room, trying to carry the same confidence I had when I walked into the store, but now it feels hollow, like a coat you put on when it's raining, but forgot the umbrella. She points at something simple, really simple, and I swear to myself I can do it, but my brain immediately starts running through every possible way this could go wrong. A Hollywood montage of disasters with me in slow motion. I start the task thinking, okay, this is fine. I've done basic human functions before. I've handled adult responsibilities like paying bills on the wrong dates, navigating traffic with zero sense of direction. Surely this will be easy. But of course, that's when reality sneaks up behind me. My hands are suddenly clumsy, my thoughts scattered. I realize that the universe has been quietly building to this moment, testing my resolve, my skill, my very ability to exist in a domestic space without chaos. I try to focus, tell myself to slow down. Slowing down doesn't help. It just gives me more time to panic internally while pretending to move with purpose externally. She stands there watching, not criticizing, not laughing, just observing, and that's somehow worse. Because if she yelled, at least there would be an end, a clear signal that I had failed. This is subtler, more psychological. Her calm observation is a spotlight, and every tiny mistake feels magnified. I drop something small, pick it up, put it back, all while talking to myself quietly under my breath. Like whispers will convince my brain I know what I'm doing. I tell myself, one wrong move, and it's back to the store with embarrassment or worse, an eye roll that will haunt me for the rest of the week. As I'm trying to recover from my self-made panic, I start overthinking each motion. What is the right way to do this? Is there a rule book I missed? I ignore a memo somewhere that said grown. Ups should know this instinctively. I glance at her again. She hasn't said a word, which now feels like the loudest sound in the room. I feel the pressure to perform perfectly, to execute something so minor flawlessly, and the more I try, the more awkward my movements become. Gravity itself is conspiring against me, At some point, I realize I'm narrating everything in my head. I'm mentally giving play by play updates to an audience that doesn't exist. Step 1, grab item. Step 2, don't mess this up. Step 3, breathe. It's exhausting, and yet I keep going because stopping feels like surrender. I make little adjustments. Second, guess my first instinct. Pick up items multiple times, trying to make a good impression on a silent critic who isn't even judging me aloud. Every motion is a test, every glance a scoreboard, and I'm losing points faster than I can count. Time stretches. The task that should have taken 30 seconds now feels like a full act in a theater production, and I'm the tragicomic lead. My confidence, once high and nearly unshakable, is now just a memory. I start thinking about all the other simple tasks I've ever failed, like putting together furniture or remembering birthdays. I feel the creeping sense that history is laughing quietly at me while I try to perform an entirely normal adult function. Then, just when I think I might finally finish, I realize she's already moved on, looking at something else in the room. I've barely completed half the task. That's when it hits me, this is the pattern. The simple task is a trap, a kind of domestic rite of passage where the goal isn't completion, it's endurance, it's surviving the pressure and internal chaos while appearing competent. And I'm still standing there, holding what I thought was the last piece, wondering how I got here again, thinking maybe if I just act confident enough, pretend I know exactly what I'm doing, nobody will notice the disaster I've just narrowly avoided. So after all that, I'm standing in the kitchen holding a carton of almond milk like it's a trophy for surviving adulthood for 5 minutes. My wife looks at me, not angry, not amused, just quietly disappointed in a way that makes you question your entire existence. I realize this is marriage, a place where simple tasks are tests, confidence is optional. Even a small victory can feel like a full-blown disaster. I smile, she sighs. I know that tomorrow she's gonna trust me with something else. And I'll say yes, nod like a responsible adult. And somewhere in the back of my head, I'll start planning how I can mess that up even better than the last time. Because that's what being married is. Trying your best, failing spectacularly, somehow still being allowed to pour the cereal.